Hello, my name is Ryan. Today we're going to be installing a new car stereo. To be exact, we're going to be installing the Kenwood DDX770, which is a double-din in-dash DVD player. And we're going to be installing it here in this 2013 Dodge Ram 1500 pickup. I haven't seen any videos online on how to do this, so I thought I'd go ahead and create a video for myself. First things first, with this particular stereo, there's actually a built-in Bluetooth, so there's going to be a Bluetooth microphone. So what I've done first of all is I've popped out these retaining deals, and you can do that with just a screwdriver. All you need to do is just apply a tiny bit of pressure. You don't want to like scratch or anything like that. You want to be very, very nice. Just apply a little bit of pressure to the bottom. It'll pop right out. Now, if you can see inside here, it's going to be a really small nut. We're going to unscrew that, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my microphone right up here. I'm going to run the line down. I'm going to run it underneath the dash and over to my stereo. So there we go. What I've done here is I've ran my microphone. Once I had this open up, there's actually a hole right down here on the back side. I've run the microphone down that hole, and then I've pulled it back up here so that it's tight against here. I'm going to tuck it behind this weather stripping right here. It's a little difficult to do with only one hand. What we'll do is we'll tuck it right there. Make sure that these holes line back up with your screws. As you can see, this is the cord running down from up there. And then I'm going to run it over the top and back up underneath where the stereo goes. One thing you're going to notice here is that your stereo, even though the front part of it is really deep, like it's considered a double din on the front, it only slides in a single din port on the back, and you'll see this here in a second as I pull it out. Here you go. That's the opening that the old stereo came out of, so it's a single din. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take a hacksaw, and we're going to have to cut it right here from this corner to that corner, and then we're going to have to cut it on this side too to leave this out. This doesn't do anything as far as being able to put this other stereo back in. You can put it back in just fine. It'll stay in just fine if you decide to put your stock stereo back in when you go to sell your vehicle or whatever. But in order to put in a double din, I mean, this is considered a single din stereo, even though it takes up a lot of extra space. They do this so that they can put the same dash in multiple vehicles. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and show you the parts that we're going to be using to put this particular stereo in. Okay, folks, here's the old stereo. Here is the new stereo. Now let's look at the back for a second here. I'm going to do this because I need to show that there are some differences. Now, just so you know, I am by no stretch of the imagination a professional car stereo installer. In my later teen years, I installed quite a few car stereos into my own vehicle, but I never did one professionally. I just basically the wires, you plug in the adapter here, and then you hardwire all your colors appropriately, and that's it. It's a lot more complicated nowadays. So here on the back of the stock Dodge stereo, you're going to notice a few things. This is a very proprietary setup. This is a very proprietary application for, this is your this is your antenna. This is, I believe, your satellite radio. I forget what this is, but then this is all your power. This is your power, this is your audio and all that stuff. This is all your audio on the left hand side, your power here, I believe. So it's very different to go from that to this, because on older car stereos, this little deal right here, this is your antenna. This is a standard universal antenna for pretty much every car stereo, pretty much every car there is out there. You can see that that's different from this one here. So we need an adapter. Now, in most cases, adapters are very expensive. I watched a video on YouTube and found that this particular part number, made by Metra XSVI-6522-NAV, is supposed to be the correct accessory for this car stereo. So we're going to plug this guy into the factory car stereo port. We're going to plug this in here into the vehicle itself, or into the car stereo itself. Okay, so again, here's the part 40-EU55. This is supposed to be for Volkswagen Audi European vehicles. I don't understand why, but it's supposed to work. I believe this is, I found it for probably $20 or less on Amazon. The other part you're going to need is your dash kit. This is the one thing that's been the most difficult to find. It's made by Metra, part number 95-6518B as in Bravo. It's for Ram trucks 2013 and up without the 8-inch screen. So if you already have the 8-inch nice screen, this is not the correct one for you. If you have the 8-inch touch screen, I don't know why you'd want something different anyway, because that's a pretty nice setup. But this is the kit that we're going to need. One thing that you will notice, I apologize for the darkness here by the way, this metal piece right here used to be right here across there. That's what your double or your single DIN stereo sat in. Now we're making this a double DIN. The dash kit that you're going to want to buy is made by Metra, part number 95-6518B as in Bravo. The nice thing about this is it actually gives you full instructions on how to remove your dash and how to remove your stereo and the area to cut right there. It also gives you instructions on how to assemble your little dash kit. So we've got our dash kit assembled right here. We're going to go ahead and put it in. Now here we go. Here's the DVD player all the way installed. I apologize for skipping forward so far here, but let me tell you the issues that you're going to run into. You're going to need a couple of very specific things for this. Now because they don't have, because the 2013 Ram hasn't been made for very long, they have very few aftermarket parts, and there are very few places that carry these particular parts because there are so many people looking for them. I happened to find a place that had the dash kit, which you can see right here, and I finally found a place that had the wiring harness. So I actually ordered the wiring harness off of eBay, and the guy advertised it as the wiring harness for 2006 and up, and that is what it says right here on the back, or on the front, and even on the back, but it doesn't actually work. When you pull it out of the packaging, you can actually see that it doesn't connect. This little gray connector right there is what's supposed to connect to your truck, to the harness on the truck itself. It doesn't work, so I ended up finding a place that had it. Now the downside is this part costs 130 bucks. So if you're looking to install a double DIN stereo like this alone, I actually bought it off Amazon. I think it cost me 330 bucks or something like that. I'll leave the links in the video here for all these parts, just so you know. So that cost me 330. When I went to Best Buy originally, they wanted to charge me like 150 bucks for the dash kit, and then I forget how much they wanted to charge for this. I think it was like 89 bucks for the wiring harness. It ended up being the wrong one. Anyway, the wiring harness, the correct one, is $130. And then you also, if you have the Sirius satellite radio, my truck came with its stock. If you have the satellite radio and you want to keep it, you've got to pay an extra, depending on where you go, either 50 or even up to like 80 bucks for the antenna kit. You have to get an adapter kit, because the back of this has a standard antenna, but the back of the stock Dodge stereo, it did not. So because I ran into all these issues, I actually did this install over a period of about 4 days. When I first set up to do this install video, I had all the parts necessary, I thought, in my truck, which is why I started shooting the video. When I got to actually wiring the new stereo, I found that I had the wrong adapter, the wrong wiring harness. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull apart the dash for a minute, and I'm not going to pull it all the way apart. I'm just going to kind of show you what things look like, what it should look like, so that you understand what you're going to be getting into when you do this yourself. But just know that you're going to be in it, once you get your stereo here, you're going to be in it for another 150 bucks. Well, more than that, probably closer to another $200 for all the additional parts. So if that's not something you're willing to do, I would suggest holding off, or maybe just buy one piece at a time. But anyway, I'm going to pause the video here for a second, readjust, and we'll be back in a sec. So here's what it looks like with the new car stereo in. So this is your dash kit. Now your dash kit does have instructions that came with it. Now I'm not necessarily saying that they're the best instructions, but you know, you can basically figure out how the dash kit goes together. It goes together one way only. If it doesn't, you know, if it's not working, it's not the right way. So let's finish getting my screws out of here. Now, let me also explain a little bit about the full application that I have going on here, because you'll see a wire hanging down here. So I installed this car stereo in my 2013 Ram. In my back seat, I have headrest monitors. They're not the DVD players, and they're just I think I paid $130 on Amazon. I buy most of my stuff on Amazon. For a Pyle, P-Y-L-E, I forget the model number, but it's a little 7-inch monitor. And they actually work really well. I'm kind of surprised. They were super easy to install. I'll give you a little bit of a brief, because I'm sure some of the people that are watching this video are going to want information on that. I apologize for people that don't really care about that, but anyway. So it should be pretty easy to slide out. I'm going to set the video camera down here for a second so I can pull it out using both hands. We're just going to expose the back here for a second. Okay, so here's the wiring harness right here. Plugs into the back. Pretty simple, right? You have these wires right here. The one that says park switch, you actually want to ground this to the case. Now, all car stereos nowadays, DVD players anyway, it's illegal to watch TV from the front seat. So, DVD players that are meant to be mounted in the front seat will have a function in them. When you plug, you're supposed to hook this in to the parking brake. Once you put it in park, or I think even in some cases, you have to have the parking brake on to be able to watch video on the DVD. I think that's kind of lame, because what's the point in having a DVD player in the front seat? Now, for my application, I have the DVD player in the front seat so I can control the DVD players that my 3 kids watch in the back, because I work on the road. I'm on the road 10, 12 hours a day and have 3 kids that need to be entertained. So if that's if that's what you're looking for, I would highly recommend grounding this. All I did was run this wire. You can't quite see it, but I ran this green wire to the side right here, and I grounded it using that screw. What that does is it allows the DVD player, the video, to play on this while you're driving. So these here, let me show you. Now, the nice thing about when you get the stereo, or when you get the dash kit here, sorry, the wiring harness, is it has some very specific instructions on how to hook it up, and it's actually really easy. So this is your dash, or your wiring harness. You plug it right in. It fits exactly like it should. You do have to pull a little clip off of it. There's a clip that holds the wiring harness to the back of your old deck. You just have to pull that off. You'll know what I'm talking about when you pull it out. There will be no way that you won't know what I'm talking about there. Anyway, so there are wires coming out of here. You run your yellow wire, which is an RCA, and then your white and your red to your video in on the back of your stereo, and then any video out you want to have on the other side. Obviously, you might have a different stereo, but anyway, it plugs right in here, and then it has instructions on, like, the colors match up exactly. So the purple are going to be speakers, the gray are going to be speakers, the white are going to be speakers, the green, the dark green, are going to be speakers. All the other ones on the deck side here are labeled very specifically, and they're not. These are, for the most part, these are going to be controls if you have steering wheel controls. So if you have steering wheel controls, you do have to get a whole different adapter. I don't know anything about that. I apologize, but you will have to get a different adapter. So in my case, because I wanted the video out to my rear screens, I ran the RCAs down through here, and then I ran them under my dash. I literally tucked them under my carpet and I run them under my strip on that one side and under the seat to the back. I'll show you that here in a second as well. Anyway, the adapter that you got, the one that was for the Volkswagen that I told you about earlier, it does fit exactly. It fits into this little pocket thing here, and it plugs into the back just fine, and it operates as it should. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing. I apologize. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Now, another thing too, this cord right here, which is sitting on top of your iPod AV2, that's actually a USB, which I also ran down the side here. If you open up your glove box, while you're looking over here, you can actually see a little bit of a light. You can drop your USB cable right down there on the other side of that metal piece. If you can see it, it's hard to see, and drop it inside your glove box. That way you have access to it at all times. All right, so there we go. Now the dash is ready to be put back together. We've got the DVD player plugged back in. Now this wire here, I mentioned a little bit earlier, that's my power wire for my rear monitors. If you have an SUV or something, if you want to put monitors in the back seat, there are a lot of cheap versions, there are a lot of expensive versions, and as far as I'm concerned, as long as it works, I don't really care what the price is. So I did put some monitors in the back. But anyway, I ran the wire from the back seat to the front, and I have it plugged into the power wire for the DVD players. That way, when I turn on the ignition and my DVD player here turns on, the rear screens turn on as well, which is super duper easy. We're gonna go ahead and put back the dash here. You have to kind of slide it underneath the shifter and then kind of gently push it back together. It should snap into place. Push around all the places that you remember having snap, and then put your screws back in here and you're good. So here we go with my USB sticking out of the glove box here. Now if you have an older iPhone, like an iPhone 4, iPhone 4S, anything with the old 30-pin connector, you can actually get an additional cable. Now with the nicer stereos here, like the higher end ones with the DVD players, anyway, there's a plug that you can get. It's an additional, I think it's 30 bucks. I forget the part number. Anyway, you plug it into the USB, then there's an audio port on the back of your DVD player here that will actually allow you to play your Netflix movies onto your DVD player, and also Pandora, and control them from